The US Supreme Court is about to rule on what most would perceive as a relatively benign case, Moore versus US. This is literally about a $15,000 refund. However, the way the court rules on this could have dramatic, sweeping impacts on the entirety of the US tax code. We are going to look at the case and see how it might affect you. Now, this is the article from the Wall Street Journal. One Supreme Court case could mess up chunks of the tax code. I think it is best summarized in this line. It's hard to see how this is going to turn out well. They really are opening up a can of worms. The can of worms they're opening up is really whether the US has the ability to tax unrealized income, right? So realized income is income that you actually receive. Unrealized is income that we know has happened. You've made some gain in an asset or taken some money, but you actually haven't received the money to actually be able to spend. So this article goes through it very interestingly. Now, I will link this in the description. So the case itself is actually against a tax law written back in 2017 under the Trump administration, very much supported by the Republican Party at the time. It was really targeting many tech companies that were held outside the US around their foreign earnings, saying that effectively you cannot keep foreign earnings offshore. You're going to have to pay some minimum tax on these foreign earnings as an unrealized gain. But that affected some small groups that happen to own a majority, not even majority share, I believe it's a 10% yet, right here, 10% share of a foreign corporation, like the Moore couple. And they had to pay taxes on these unrealized foreign income. And that's what the lawsuit is around. So it's interesting around the politics in that this is a relatively conservative Supreme Court that is hearing it, but it's also a law that came out of not only the president that appointed three of the justices on it, but it was a Republican-backed law that's being challenged, and yet it is conservative groups that are going after this because they really want to push the fact that they don't want taxation on unrealized gains, which the interesting thing about the politics is that this is really can be considered an attack on the future of the Democrats' agenda on a wealth tax and things along those lines. So I'm not going to, this is not a political statement supporting one side or the other, but the politics of this case is very, very interesting. So why is this a once in a century, kind of tax ruling? Because you have to understand how the tax code works, which is what this next section of the article is on. In the beginning, the US government, the federal government, did not have the ability to tax via income. That did not come until the 16th Amendment in 1914, 1919. It's in the article somewhere. And it has never really been well established whether the government can tax unrealized income versus income. Effectively, what is the definition of income? Is unrealized income, right? So this has never really been answered, and the tax code has lots of different examples where we tax unrealized gains. You can see it in investment services, you can see it in foreign business, and lots of little places. Now, the case is going up on Tuesday, and we really can't answer how this is going to affect you until we understand the ruling, but we're going to go into what those rulings could be. So if you want to continue to follow how this might affect you with the actual ruling, subscribe to the channel. I will certainly cover it when we actually understand what the ruling is. So the two takeaways here really for you kind of average person to understand this. The first is that the court could go in all sorts of different directions with this, and they can affect or not affect the tax code very dramatically. That's really this last section, which is they could rule concretely that unrealized income is or is not a part of the 16th Amendment. They could also rule specifically to the case and not have a wide overarching impact on the tax law, but could undo the Trump law or some other things, or word it in a way to make it difficult in the future. Invariably, this is probably going to lead to more lawsuits over this, which would be a good chance for the Supreme Court and Congress to hopefully clear this up more than it has been for the last 100 years. Now, the second takeaway is this interesting thing about the politics that I believe that the politics around taxation and the federal spending and deficit is often dramatically misrepresented and oversimplified in the media. You might think that the Republicans never want to tax the rich or wealthy, and this is literally challenging a Republican law that was largely targeted over large corporations and wealthy folks. And yet, at the same time, we have a conservative Supreme Court that is interacting with these kind of conservative groups against perceived threats by the Democrats in the future around taxing unrealized gains. If you want to dive deeper into this kind of misrepresentation of politics, I cover it a lot in this video around the debt. It's literally around why people don't understand how we got to where we are with the debt, and you might be surprised around the politics of it. I hope this has been informative, and I'll talk to you soon.